This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
It's press 15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Danushka Madhavela, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. A Vietnam delegation has handed over a stock of medicines to Sri Lanka. Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that egg production will be increased in the next few months. Foreign Minister to attend second Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum in Stockholm. The fishermen who were affected due to the sinking of Express Pearl ship will be granted compensation for the fourth time. Met Department has issued a warning advisory on cyclonic storm Mocha. Legal actions will be taken against government officials who work at the provincial councils and who do not provide their service properly. And in world news, Zelensky says Ukraine needs more time for counter-offensive. And in sports, Madrid Open organizers apologize for not allowing women's doubles finalists to make speeches. Now the local news in detail. A Vietnam delegation has handed over a stock of medicines to Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Assistant Sangha of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha Sabathish Vianthera has symbolically handed over the stock to the Premier today at the Temple Trees. The value of the stock is more than $20,000. The Premier has handed over the stock to the Health Ministry. Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that egg production will be increased in the next few months. Discussions are taking place with relevant parties regarding the egg shortage. The daily shortage of eggs is calculated as 1 to 1.6 million eggs. Eggs must be imported to overcome the shortage. The minister said that importing of eggs can be reduced by that measure. He also said that imported eggs will not be released to the open market. Foreign Minister Ali Sabri left for Stockholm, Sweden this morning to attend the second Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum scheduled for Saturday. The forum is organized under the Swedish presidency of the Council of the European Union in collaboration with the European External Action Service. The foreign ministers of the European Union and Indo-Pacific region are expected to attend. The forum is co-chaired by Swedish Foreign Minister Tobias Billström and High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission Joseph Borrell. Foreign Minister Sabri will co-chair the first roundtable discussion under the theme of Building More Sustainable and Inclusive Prosperity Together, one of 3 roundtables of the forum. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Digital accounts can now be opened in 10 minutes. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
Continuing local news, the fishermen who were affected due to the sinking of Express Pearl ship will be granted compensation for the 4th time today. It was held at the Ministry of Fisheries under the auspices of the Minister of Fisheries, Douglas Devananda, and State Minister of Fisheries, Pial Nishanta de Silva. At this event, as a token of compensation, checks for 30 selected fishermen and some others who engage in jobs related to the fishing industry, representing nearly 5,000 fishermen and individuals who engage in jobs related to the fishing industry, who lost their livelihood due to the banning of fishing as a result of fire sinking of Express Pearl vessel will be distributed. The rest of the fishermen who are entitled to compensation will receive their compensation from their respective district secretariats. At this event, 20 fishermen whose fishing nets and gears were damaged due to the various materials collected in the marine environment from Express Pearl vessel will be granted compensation from the insurance company of the vessel. So far, 3,068 million rupees have been received from the insurance company of the vessel in order to grant compensation for the fishing sector, while in the first 3 rounds, 1,463 million rupees have been already distributed to families which lost their livelihood. Met Department has issued a warning advisory on cyclonic storm Mocha. The deep depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal has intensified into the cyclonic storm Mocha and lay centered over the Bay of Bengal at 5:30 a.m. It is very likely to move north-northwestwards and gradually intensify into a severe cyclonic storm at around midnight of today. Thereafter, it is likely to recurve gradually, move northwestwards from tomorrow morning and intensify further into a very severe cyclonic storm around tomorrow evening over central Bay of Bengal. The system likely to weaken slightly from Sunday morning and cross southeast Bangladesh and North Myanmar coasts around Sunday afternoon. Naval and fishing communities are advised not to venture into the sea areas bounded by those areas until further notice. Those who are not at aforementioned sea regions are advised to return to coasts or moved safer areas immediately. Naval and fishing communities are requested to be vigilant while engaging in fishing and naval activities in the sea areas off the coast extending from Galle to Potterville via Matara and Hambantota. Fishing and naval community are requested to be attentive to future forecasts issued by the Met Department in this regard. Minister Janaka Wakkumbara said that legal actions will be taken against government officials who work at the provincial councils and who do not provide their service properly. Provincial councils and local government bodies is maintained from the tax money. Employees of those of such entities must serve the people of this country. The minister emphasized that no employee can work according to their will and they should follow the government guidelines. That ends local news.
Now, People's Bank Digital Banking enables you to make your pawning payments through People's Bank Self-Banking Unit any time of the day. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Colombo Stock Exchange recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the University of Moratuwa to formalize collaborative efforts to improve financial literacy among the undergraduates in Sri Lanka. The collaboration proposes to promote capital market education among undergraduates by working together on a number of mutually beneficial strategic initiatives. Accordingly, the initiative would offer practical educational training and internship opportunities for students of the University of Moratuwa who are engaged in accountancy and finance, business management and economics-related degree programs with the CSE. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the 24-hour token strike launched by the Sri Lanka Railway Station Masters Union stating that a corrupt official had been appointed to a senior post ended midnight yesterday. The Station Masters Union began the strike on Tuesday at midnight against an offer to appoint a deputy general manager who has been accused of corruption. During the 24-hour strike, more than 40 trains, including long-distance and office trains, were cancelled. Most of the ticket counters were closed and no tickets were issued to passengers. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to world news. Taking a look at the headlines of the world news, Zelensky says Ukraine needs more time for counter-offensive. Deadly violence in Pakistan as ex-PM Imran Khan charged with corruption. India's Russia oil imports jumped tenfold in 2022. Now the world news in detail. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said his country needs more time to launch a much-anticipated counter-offensive against Russian forces as the military awaits the delivery of promised aid. The expected attack could be decisive in the war, redrawing frontliners that for months have remained unchanged. It will also be a crucial test for Ukraine, eager to prove that the weapons and equipment it has received from the West can result in been significant battlefield gains. Speaking at his headquarters in Kyiv, President Zelensky described combat brigades, some of which were trained by NATO countries, as being ready, but said the army still needed some things, including armored vehicles that were arriving in batches. Unrest has continued to grip Pakistan after former Prime Minister Imran Khan pleaded not guilty to corruption following his arrest on Tuesday. At least 8 people have died nationwide in the protests and 1,400 have been arrested, police say. The army has been called in to quell violence and has warned protesters against more attacks on state property. Mr. Khan's arrest has dramatically escalated tensions between him and the military at a time of economic crisis. Conviction would disqualify the former international cricket star and Pakistan's Prime Minister from 2018 to 2022 from standing for office, possibly for life. Elections are due later this year. India's importers of Russian oil rose tenfold last year, according to Indian state-controlled lender Bank of Baroda. The figures show Asia's third-largest economy saved around $5 billion as it ramped up crude purchases from Moscow. It comes as Western countries have been cutting their imports of energy from Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. Russia has been selling energy at a discount to countries like China and India, which is the world's third-largest importer of oil. In 2021, Russian oil accounted for just 12% of India's annual crude imports. That figure now stands at almost 20%, Bank of Baroda said. That ends World News. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the World News once again. Zelensky says Ukraine needs more time for counter-offensive. Deadly violence in Pakistan as ex-MP Imran Khan charged with corruption. India's Russia oil imports jumped tenfold in 2022. That ends World News.
Development News.
State Minister of Finance Shahan Semasinga said Sri Lanka has taken bold steps to minimize the severe impacts of polycrisis in various sectors and communities while ensuring that the country's sustainable development priorities remain on track. Addressing the United Nations Sri Lanka Partnership Accelerator High-Level Forum, which provided a platform to discuss the importance of partnerships in advancing the sustainable development goals on Monday, Minister Semasinga pointed out that the polycrisis has severely challenged Sri Lanka's development trajectory, constraining its ability to achieve inclusive and sustainable development. That came to in development news. Moving on to sports news. Madrid Open organizers have apologized to players and fans for the unacceptable decision to not allow the women's doubles finalists to make presentation speeches. Victoria Azarenka and Beatriz Hajar-Maya beat Americans Jessica Pegula and Coco Gauff 6-1, 6-4 on Sunday. All finalists in the singles and the men's doubles addressed the crowd after their matches. Organizers say they have apologized directly to the 4 players involved. And taking a look at more news under sports, Tiger Woods has been ruled out of the 2023 US PGA Championship as the 15-time major champion continues to recover from an ankle injury. It is the 3rd time in 7 years the American, 47, will miss the tournament. 3-time major winner Jordan Spieth will take part, having been out after withdrawing from the AT&T Byron Nelson this week with a wrist injury. The second men's major of the year is being held at Oak Hill Country Club in Rochester, New York from 18th to the 21st of May. Woods has struggled since a car crash in February 2021 left him with a severe leg injuries. That came to in sports news.
Go ekakthiyana youth කට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Disney says its flagship streaming service lost 4 million subscribers in the first 3 months of the year amid a wider cost-cutting drive. At the same time, the Disney platform narrowed its losses by $400 million. The home of Mickey Mouse, the Star Wars franchise and Marvel movies, is under pressure to make its streaming business profitable as the traditional film and television market shrinks. Shares in the company fell by around 5% in after hours trading in New York. That came to you in business news.
Business news. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of...
For the 5th consecutive year, LOLC is awarded People's Financial Services Brand of the Year at the 2022 Slim Kantar People's Awards. As the People's Financial Services Brand of the Year, LOLC continues to place the customer first. And this has won the hearts, minds and trust of Sri Lankans, with yet another prestigious award as proof of this lasting commitment. LOLC. Imagine the possibilities.
The Bank of England is expected to raise rates to their highest levels in almost 15 years later today. It is widely expected to increase the base rate from 4.25% to 4.5%, the 12th successive raise in a row. The bank has been raising rates in an attempt to lower inflation, the rate at which prices are rising. That was economic news.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 goals at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall Gold Award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in western, Sabragamua, central, northwestern and southern provinces. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in western, Sabragamua and northwestern provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northern province. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places elsewhere over the island, particularly during the afternoon or night. Strong winds about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over western and southern coastal areas and along the western slopes of the central hills. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. A Vietnam delegation has handed over a stock of medicines to Sri Lanka. Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that egg production will be increased in the next few months. Foreign Minister to attend 2nd Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum in Stockholm. The fishermen who were affected due to the sinking of Express Pearl ship will be granted compensation for the 4th time. Met Department has issued a warning advisory on cyclonic storm Mocha. Legal actions will be taken against government officials who work at the provincial councils and who do not provide their service properly. That ends news.